You know that feeling when you open your inbox and find another Google review from a happy client? Well, we feel the same way when our listeners leave a review on Apple Podcasts for our show.
It's honestly so helpful because reviews give you the words straight from your client's mouth that impacts the way you run your business going forward. And the same is true for us.
Yeah, when we read your reviews, it helps us understand what you love and what you want more of, which makes the show better in return. And really, everyone wins here.
So before you listen to today's episode, could you take 1 minute and leave us a 5-star review and tell us one thing you're loving about the show? We promise we'll be here ready to chat when you're done.
And after leaving that review, make sure you screenshot it and send it to support@modernagentsocialclub.com with your mailing address, because we have a fun little surprise for you as a way to say thank you.
XOXO, the marketing girls. I don't even know if I can say this on the show, so let's cut it out if you can. But when you have to choose between sex and food, and he's like, I don't know, sex on bread.
If someone asks you out on a date and then they're like, but if you want to cancel, it's fine. Like, that feels weird, you know?
Like, should I? I'm just bringing you along behind the scenes. Like, if you pretended there was a camera crew in your house filming and you weren't like filming a TV show, you were just supposed to do whatever you do. Like, the camera is there secretly. This sounds really creepy.
How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are 2 agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market, all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Chelsea. Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. We got a good one today.
We are here with very long time Modern Agent member, Nikki Southard. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. So this is a coaching call style episode. So Nikki has a bunch of questions for us. And I kind of just want to kick it off with, what is your juiciest question on the list? And we're going to dive right into that one. And then we'll go through some more.
So it'd probably be my first one. And that one is, if you envisioned your perfect member for the membership, how would they utilize the membership? And like, what would be their first steps, their routines, etc., to like really get a full grip of what you guys provide?
Such a good one.
Such a good question. Okay, I'm going to start with saying that it will look completely different for everyone, because everyone's going to have their own unique path based on what their goals are, based on what their like lifestyle is, based on like a million things, right? But I guess first and foremost, I would say how they would use it is they would use it as a tool that helps them build a personal brand. So like that would be like the overarching statement is, I'm going to use this as a tool to build a personal brand, meaning I'm not just going to like copy and paste content or rely on always having a graphic or spending hours in Canva, but I'm going to use this to kind of build out my own strategy. So that's kind of how those two things are married together. And with that, I would say first steps might look like going through the Modern Agent method, just getting started, getting that overview of like, how am I going to use this membership and what do they teach here? Because I think, just understanding first and foremost the whole approach to having a personal brand and to using social media, like the content cocktail and all those little pieces, having that knowledge first will then help everything that you dive into after that be much easier to apply, because you'll know like, okay, that isn't for me, or I'm going to do this way, or I'm going to do that way. And I could keep going with like things, but I guess like that would be the cornerstone of what I would say first and foremost. And then we could get into more like nitty gritty strategy with the actual membership in and of itself, like the content and things like that. So I guess, Kayla, what would you say? Like, what is your, like, that's my big answer, but we'll dive deeper.
Yeah. Well, I get this question actually a lot from new members that will like DM us on our Instagram account. And a lot of times they're like, I want to get started. Like, where do I go? But I'm like, honestly, and we've heard this feedback from other people, we offer so much in the membership that it can be hard to know where to start. And so I tell people like, hey, spend the next 3 days just browsing our content. Go back and like listen to old trainings that we've done. If we have any upcoming trainings that have been posted, like join in on those and you can ask your questions there. Because I think so many times it's not a matter of like, oh, someone already asked that question, go look it up somewhere else and we're not willing to answer it. But it's just a matter of like getting more familiar. Like I think that the podcast has helped because I think a lot of people have listened to us for long enough now that they kind of have an idea of like why we don't have just listed templates or just sold templates and those kind of things. But I think there's so much in the Facebook group and on the website already where like they could spend hours just like getting involved in like all of that and like learning all that. That being said, I also see the extreme of some members who have been in the membership for 3 or 4 months and then they ask us, when should I start posting? And I'm like, oh my gosh, use the content. Like, just get started. So don't overthink it, but just if there's a piece of content, if there's a carousel or a reel or something that you see that like feels like totally on brand to you, then like use it. And guess what? In a month from now, 2 months from now, you might have used that content completely differently, but it doesn't matter. It's about like flexing that muscle and like using it over and over again, and you're going to get better at it and more clear on your goals and your strategies and all of that. So it's a mix of do some homework, but also just get started, you know?
I think it's like if you walk into a house and a client's gonna look at it and you're like, just write the offer. Like they're like, but I didn't even tour the house yet. I don't know what would I offer. What would I write? It's kind of like that. Like just let yourself sink into it. Don't feel rushed. Like there's no timeline. There's no finish line really. Like it's a constant evolution. And the more you let yourself kind of soak it in and get comfortable and familiar, then the easier it is to like apply that to what you want it to be and develop your own path with it. But I guess from the standpoint of like just getting going is picking, I'm going to like picking your cadence. Like I'm going to post 3 times a week and I want one of those posts. Like here's what I'd recommend, I guess. I would want one of those posts to be a little bit local heavy. I would want one of them to be a little bit real estate heavy and one maybe more personal heavy. But with that, you're using that content cocktail that's going to make the personal one still have something real estate related. It's going to make the local one still have something real estate related. And it's going to make the real estate one have something like personal related so that they're not these like, it almost becomes less of a just like a local post, a behind the scenes post, a personal post, and more like they all kind of have the same cohesive feel. Like you're getting a little bit of you, a little bit of real estate, a little bit of local, and really learning that skill of creating with that Modern Agent content cocktail, which I think was episode 16. If you want to like deep dive, anyone listening into that episode. But we also walk through it in the membership. So having that understanding will make all the content then better, but then being able to say, okay, I'm going to post 3 days a week and I'm going to use the content that's available to me as this guide, as this framework, as this more of a plug and play that's going to then help you get that consistency developed. And then you're going to learn to lean more into what you want it to be. You're going to learn like, okay, I really love sharing just like a weekend recap of, real estate, local, and my real life. And you're going to do that every single Monday. Like you'll develop these patterns of things that you really like. And something that can really help with that I would recommend every member do eventually, and maybe it's not week 1, is to listen to the weekly members podcast, because that kind of takes the overwhelming amount of content and options out there and condenses it into a 1-week plan. And even if you only do 30% of that 1-week plan, at least you're doing something rather than feeling like, I don't know how to get started, or I don't know what to do first, or I don't know what to do next. It also is kind of keeping everything relevant. So if we have anything new, it's going to be part of that podcast. It's going to be part of that weekly marketing plan. If we have any new guides, if we have any new, like maybe even strategies, or now we do like the story sequences and formulas, it just takes that, like, there's so many things I could be doing. What should I do? And it's like, here's the 5 things to do this week. And so following that, and then again, as time goes on, you'll develop your own way of following it. That's going to help you try different things, use different strategies, make sure you're kind of fully using Modern Agent at its maximum capacity. So that's where I think it all comes down to, because then you're using the content, you're using the emails, you're using the stories, but you're not feeling overwhelmed by where to get started or how to get started or all the other shininess of it, right? And that's kind of a lot. Do you have any like follow-up questions on that?
No, but I just been this last week, I started actually like trying to plan it out a little bit more, because I think that's been my issue lately too, is I want to post and I want to do all these things, but then it's like you go down to the wire, you start getting on other things, and the Meta Business Suite for like scheduling things has been helpful this week. I finally like dived in and just started scheduling some stuff just to get it done.
Yeah.
Because that's been the hardest, is just actually getting in and doing it.
Yeah. And that's what we have to remember too, is everyone's brains work differently, right? Like Chelsea and I kind of joke sometimes. We've tried to plan out our content like a month at a time, and we've never once stuck with it.
Yeah.
Because we are like, it's more like when inspiration strikes. Now, that being said, we always have like a bank of ideas, or we always have like we have the themes that we are constantly going back to that I think make it easier. And so I think even for you, even with you using Modern Agent content, you're still going to kind of have those things like, these are the questions my buyers are always asking me, or these are the pieces of content that my people really like. So you can always go back to those and use them over and over and over again. But yeah, some people are going to be more of a planner, and you want to spend, I'm going to block off my schedule for the next 2 days and just, plan the next month and be done. And that's totally great. And other people are a little bit more on the fly and documenting, and that's okay too.
And that's where you have to really align it to like your personality, because if we try to tell you, okay, here's the way, you're going to post 5 days a week, you're going to post this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, and it's like, that doesn't feel like me. And that's why we always say, like, you can't copy and paste a brand, because you can't. You'll do it and you'll feel this resistance, or you'll feel like that's not something I would say, or like I wouldn't use that, wording or whatever. So it's really learning like what is going to make sense for me, and how can I come up with a flow, come up with a pattern that I can at least stick to for a period of time. Because I would even recommend, if you start as simple as posting once a week as a member, and then you build from that, because that one post a week that is, you spend a little bit of time on it, it's going to get easier to do that one post every week, because you're going to be like, okay, well, I did it once. Now this time I'm going to maybe make it better by, I'm going to use my brand photos, or I'm going to use a picture of myself, or I'm going to turn it into a reel. You just start to get like strengthen that one type of post, and then you could move on to 2 posts. And then that way you're not worried, you're not focused on so many different areas. You're just kind of doing the one thing per week. And I mean, I think that's plenty. If you look back to 2015, it was like all these companies, or even, I don't know when, a long time ago, all these companies were like, oh, we'll auto post for you. And I remember starting the membership, and that was such a common question. And finally, I don't even know the last time I got asked that question, because I put it out there over and over and over. Like, here's why you shouldn't do that. Here's why you shouldn't have someone auto post for you. Like, there's no personality, there's no brand, there's no way for someone to say, like, I want you to be my agent. It's just like billboard posting, right? But that's not what social media is for. It's to like meet and greet, it's to get to know someone, it's to connect. So if we're so focused on like the posting, it can almost be like a negative, because we then strip away like that opportunity to connect, or to have the conversation, to show up in our stories, to share something behind the scenes. So I would much rather have someone posting once a week and getting really good at that one type of post, and then adding in a local reel, or then adding in a carousel post, or then adding in something from Canva, but just like one type of post per week to get going, and then you build from there. And that might take someone 3 months before they add on. It might take them a week. Like, people are at totally different places with social media, and that's like cool, because you can kind of use it to whatever you want it to be. Like, you might go into the monthly menu and be like, okay, I'm going to post that reel and that post and that story. And then someone else might be like, I'm going to pick one. I'm going to pick one for this week, and that's doable. And that makes me feel like I'm building, you're going to feel momentum from it, regardless if you post once or 5 times. It's going to feel like you're doing something, you're getting somewhere with it. So, okay, all that being said, did I answer your question?
You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So in regards to email marketing, how, like, especially in Flowdesk, how they have the segments, someone enters in on like a, say, holiday guide or spring guide, would you then automatically add them to your monthly newsletter? Or would you, I like on some of them I do, and then other ones I like wait till they're all the way done through the sequence, and then say like, hey, the next emails that you get are going to be like my monthly newsletter. You can always unsubscribe, all that fun stuff at the end. But how would you guys set it up so that when someone enters your email system, how they get everything that you offer?
So when someone first enters, they could be a completely cold person. So we have to kind of think of what journey would we want to take them on if they know nothing about me, but they maybe saw my spring local guide, like what's next. So I would, before they get into the monthly or weekly email, I would definitely have them go through just a couple of emails at least where you're at least introducing yourself. They're going to get used to seeing your name in their inbox, almost like a little bit of a meet and greet in your inbox. Like, okay, here's the spring guide. Here's what's inside. Enjoy, blah, blah, blah. And then like a follow-up, like, wanted to introduce myself. You could do it in a more fun way, but something just kind of getting them more warmed up to you. And then you can have the email that says like, every month I send out this newsletter because you're now a VIP, you're going to get it. Here's what to look forward to. Here's what you can expect. You're going to get it once a month, blah, blah, blah. Like you kind of just set the expectation, but then you have that like in between point before they do get it. Cause like, let's say someone just requests the guide today and your monthly email is going out tonight. It would be like, wait, what is this? Like, you want to kind of give them the runway to what's next or what they can expect and like why they wouldn't want to unsubscribe essentially.
Yeah.
Did you say anything on that, Kayla?
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think some agents overcomplicate this. I think that that's what we have to keep in mind. Segmenting your list is really a great option for a lot of different businesses. If you're a store and you offer like children's products and women's products and someone's always shopping your women's product but not children's, then don't send them the sales email about the children's stuff. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things make sense. I know even for us, like we've got like our list of like actual members and we have a list of like members who may have canceled, or we have a list of like people who signed up for different freebies that we offer. It makes sense to segment them. I think sometimes agents get into this trap of like, well, how do I segment them? Because they signed up for my holiday guide, but they didn't sign up for my summer guide, all of that. I think the bottom line is they're all people who are local in your community who could be a future buyer or seller. And they've all opted in to hear from you. And yes, they might choose to unsubscribe at some point in time, but like that to me is one segment. So I agree. Like, and we create like, emails for the funnels and all that to get people started, especially like if someone's asking like, hey, curious what my home equity is, that kind of thing. It makes sense to give them 3 or 4 emails, kind of every other day or so to warm them up and kind of introduce you. But if it were me, I would just add them to my list and like let them start to see, because I think what's important to keep in mind is what kind of emails are you sending then after that. But if your monthly or like every other week email that you're sending is a mix of a little bit of a story, a little bit of like, here's, my cute new listing, here's something funny I saw on the internet. If it's like something local, it's not like it's pushy or it's not like it's like aggressive. You know what I mean? Like it's a kind email from a friend that they've opted in to hear from. And so like I have signed up for emails before where it said like, oh, I send this every month or I send this every other week. And then like I'll go weeks and months without hearing from them. And I feel disappointed. You know what I mean? And so I don't think there's a huge reason whether someone signs up for, your local guide or they sign up for something holiday related or whatever. The bottom line is the information that you're going to be sending them, if you're using Modern Agent emails, it's going to be the same. And so I wouldn't worry too much about like all these segmentations. I would just start setting in those emails. And yeah, like, of course you want them to know that they can always unsubscribe, but I don't even think you have to say that. I think at the bottom of your email, it always will give you that, like, especially if you use like Flowdesk or something, it'll always give them the option to unsubscribe because you have to have that there. I wouldn't say, I'm going to start sending you these emails, but if you don't want them, just like, don't even say that. Like,
don't bring it up.
Yeah. They've chosen to hear from you. They want to hear from you. It'd be like if someone asked you out on a date and then they're like, but if you want to cancel, it's fine. Like, that feels weird,
Like, should I? I don't.
Right.
That
now
would
I
probably
want to.
be.
Right. Exactly.
I just pulled up the email follow because we give the email follow-up for like the summer guide just as an example. And in it does say, if this is my first time visiting your inbox, I also wanted to introduce myself. I'm blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on to kind of have that right in there. You could like the only thing. So I do feel like the one thing that makes your email deliverability stronger. So meaning like, will they keep seeing my emails? Will they get my email? Is I learned from I can't think of his name right now. Shoot. I learned this from someone on Instagram that when you deliver a freebie, you should deliver it 3 times. And so this is something I've been wanting to kind of bring into Modern Agent, because what happens with our inbox is we get busy. It could go to their junk folder. It could get whatever. So you send it immediately. Like you have it go immediately through Flowdesk. If they ask for the summer guide, you get it. Then you have it go again 6 hours later. Like, hey, just wanted to make sure you got this. Like, because a lot of times maybe they didn't. Maybe it got buried. Like, I actually really appreciate when people do that. And then it's like another link. Here it is again, like just really simple. And then you send another one 18 hours from the first one. So they're getting 3 in 24 hours. And this can be set up and completely automated in Flowdesk. But then that one is the one where you're like, hey, by the way, I'm Nikki. Here's what you might want to know about me. And I send I send a monthly email, blah, blah, blah. You can like plug in what you want them to know for that next step expectation. But the point is when they open those emails, it's going to help ensure Flowdesk emails get delivered to their inbox. So from like a technical standpoint, that's like part of that reason behind that is that if they don't ever click open, they may not get the next email. Or if they don't go look for your email, they're not going to get the next email. So we want to make sure they're actually opening our email. And if they click a link in it, it makes your like, what's it called? Like your open rate even stronger when you deliver emails. So it just basically what that does helps your emails get opened. It helps make sure the person who asked for that didn't totally forget about it. If they have an inbox of 5,000 in their personal email like I do, good chances are I'm never going to see it because it got buried with all my other junk emails. I don't use that inbox for like, business or whatever. So I think that twofold, it helps your deliverability and it also makes sure they actually open it and get that thing. Because if they don't see that really valuable thing you put together, then you're almost doing a disservice by not like saying, hey, here it is as a reminder, or like it's never really a bad thing, right? It's just like 3 emails over the course of 24 hours is like 1% for my inbox. So it's really not much, That is something that you could think about, and that would just be set up. Like it's 3 emails. You could even take the one that we give you and just break it into 3. I may even do that for our members so that they have like the actual like sequence of them and what to put where, just to kind of follow that pattern. But I will find who told me that and link it in the show notes, because then you can go listen to his whole explanation on it as well.
Okay, so the next one is about authenticity. You see it all over Instagram to be authentic. But what if you don't know what that looks like for you? Because I don't feel like there's anything that stands out like crazy about me. So like what do you guys suggest?
Sometimes I think if someone's like, ooh, I have something really unique about me that's so authentic, I think that comes across as inauthentic because it's not relatable at all, right? Like if someone's like, ooh, I'm like a Nepo baby, or like I grew up here and I had this wild lifestyle. Sure, people might be interested in it.
I was born
like,
in Iceland.
Right. Like they're not going to relate to that, but it is the most mundane things. And this is the example I always give. Look at like Chip and Joanna Gaines. They're a married couple who, flip homes in Texas. That's what my parents do in Indiana. Like, it's nothing exciting. Now, of course, HGTV glamorized all of that, but like, that's essentially what their brand was. Or like, look at like a TV character. Look at Joey Tribbiani from Friends. Like, his brand is pretty much he likes girls and sandwiches. Like, it's not wild or unique. You know what I mean? And so if I were you, and if you're really feeling like I'm just like,
sorry, I cannot. I don't even know if I can say this on the show, so let's cut it out if you can. But when you have to choose between sex and food, and he's like, I don't know, sex on bread.
Yeah, I want girls on bread. Exactly. Yeah. But that's how like simple it is. Or like when you think of like any of your favorite celebrities or characters or people to follow, it's probably really easy to think of like things that are unique about them that you like relate to and enjoy following, but they're actually like not that special.
Like what drew you to them? Let's do like an exercise with you. What's a show you love or or someone you love to follow on Instagram?
Probably like Krista Horton on Instagram.
Okay, I love her too. What things do you like about following her? Like what are you finding yourself like watching? What's in her stories? Like, can you identify like a pattern?
She just like how she interacts with her kids, and then her humor. I feel like the humor quality is the same, and then she is like relatable.
What things are you like, me too? Like when you have that moment, is it like, or like I wish I should do that, or that's a good idea? Is it usually like a kid related thing or like a routine, or is it like something specific?
I don't know. I just feel like she has that like down to earth quality that like if you met her, she like it's just somebody that you would want to hang out with. You know, you'd always have fun with her. Like she would make light of any situation, it seems like. So I don't know if I have that quality. I don't know if it's similar, but just being like she just seems like a light. Like it would be fun to hang out with. She would be fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
I think we all have that quality for our own ideal followers. Like, well, we would all have it in our own audience or our own way. Like, even if we like I love Mallory Irvin, but I would never attract the exact same audience as her. There could be like some overlap maybe because there's clearly things I like about her that make, like whatever, that relate to my personality. But I'm looking through Chris's stories, YouTube. She has, and I skip some because there's a bunch, but she has like Camp loves some eggs with his pepper. And it's like her kids' eggs with a ton of pepper. This is nothing unique. This is the breakfast that they're eating. So it's like, and I think so I'm going to keep going, but like this is what makes something authentic is like you're just documenting. There's no like performative things on their stories. It's like, I'm just bringing you along behind the scenes. Like if you pretended there was a camera crew in your house filming and you weren't like filming a TV show, you were just supposed to do whatever you do. Like the camera is there secretly. This sounds really creepy. Okay, it's just there. But like, what would you be doing? Like, like they aren't filming a show. It's just like your everyday. So like then I clicked on her next stories. They are installing wallpaper. So maybe she has a little bit of does she have a decor vibe in her account?
Yeah, they're like, they just rebuilt their old rental into like a Airbnb vacation rental type home too.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so for you, that would be real estate. So that might be you showing behind the scenes, showing a house or behind the scenes of a closing or behind the scenes of setting up a search on MLS. Like that's your behind the scenes of that. And then I see this slide, she's talking to the camera. And she's not like in a studio or overly like ready. It's just like, yep, flipping this around and having a little chat with you, just talking like a friend. And it keeps going. So I think she's getting ready right now because now her hair just improved. But I guess like what I'm trying to say is like it's authentic because it's just like her life. Like she's not trying to create this superficial story. It's just like, hey, here's what I'm up to today. Like, and that's really the vibe we want because those mundane things like what you have for breakfast or like the movie you're watching at night or like what is your favorite show?
Oh, my kids, because that's we watch Gabby's Dollhouse like all the time now. But like if I was gonna watch TV right now, it would be the last season of You because I haven't started it yet.
So I guarantee if you like share that in your stories tonight, like share that in your stories, take a picture of you, even if you're not gonna watch it, just open it real quick. Take a picture of you watching it and put like something on the screen. Let's use the content cocktail, like just got done showing a house or just got the kids to bed after a long day of real estate, just that. And finally, and get to watch You, my favorite show to binge, blah, blah, blah. Like something really simple and put that on your stories with a poll saying, are you watching? Yes, or like, heck no, like it's way too creepy. Like you like give them an option. And like, that's it. Like those little things build the connection points because someone, and maybe someone's not watching you, but they're like, yeah, my kids are finally in bed. I'm watching a show. Like I can relate to the feeling of that. In fact, last night, there's a girl I follow. Her name's Samantha Sommelier. Oh, shoot. I hope I can find it. Like, oh, here it is. I sent this reel to my friend. She said, I need to go to bed by 10 p.m. Me at 1 a.m. Just finished a full body shower and hair wash, which I thought was very motivating. But then she goes, eating bathroom Cheez-Its, just open a second bottle of wine and sits down to start the third episode of new You season, the show. And I sent it to my friend. I'm like, there are people just like us. But like, again, like that was just like a in the life moment. Like it wasn't like she said like, she's a sommelier. She likes wine. It's not like she was like, here are 10 things to know about sommeliers. She just said, I'm opening a bottle of wine and it's 1 a.m. and I'm eating Cheez-Its. Like, and not that we want our real estate brand to be that, but like that was the connection point. So if her whole account was about how to become a sommelier and her credentials and the test she took and the letters after her name and where she went to school and like tips about what's the definition of a sommelier and what's the definition of whatever words go with that. Like I would never be engaged with her content. But instead, she like invites you in these like regular life moments, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm drinking wine at 1 a.m. and watching you, and here's a snack I'm having." Or like she'll go to Costco and be like, "Here's the snack to pair with your, $6 Costco wine." Like she's not being this pretentious, what you would think a sommelier would be. She's just being herself. And so when you kind of think of that in the terms of real estate and a real estate agent, and then the personal brand, it's like, what are you doing as a real estate agent behind the scenes? Like what's your go-to outfit that you wear? And if you kind of even pull from Krista Horton and the things that she does, like what parallels can you find where you're like, I feel like that's fun, and like that's kind of also what I do. Like maybe for you it's a part of your morning routine that you like just bring into your stories, a quick clip of the day, or it's watching Gabby's Dollhouse. It's like that. Like it's the, any other moms like sick of watching the same kid show on repeat. Like just like, those relatable moments. And it doesn't always have to be totally about real estate. Now, when we bring that into our feed, that's where that content cocktail can come in, where like essentially that sommelier post, she's using multiple ingredients in her post to make it relatable, personal, but still wine focused. So like for you, it would still be real estate something, but you might bring in local, you might bring in something personal, like, so I almost envision like a carousel post, and you have like, a life lately or whatever. And it's Gabby's Dollhouse is in a scene, you after a long day of showings, it's closing day with the new homeowners, blah, blah, like a mix of things. That's just like one example. You could do that same thing on individual posts that are part of our, like the monthly menu. And that makes it totally you, right? That kind of gives it that authentic feel. Then the last thing I wanted to say about this was the face thing, like getting your face and voice in your feed, in your stories. Cause like, that's where if you took that away from like Krista Horton's account, you wouldn't feel that way. Cause you wouldn't really feel like you know her. It would just like, if anyone relied on graphics, or this is why we always say like, you can't copy and paste a brand again, because you're not going to get to know someone through just graphics or through just the houses or through just the sold signs. Like it has to be, you have to get to know the person, and then you will be like that. You will feel that way to other people, it's the goal. Do you ever get to the end of a podcast episode and feel like, oh, now I have to wait until next Tuesday for more?
Are you asking me or our listeners?
I mean, I was asking our listeners, but now I'm curious. Do you feel that way too?
Honestly, I might. I mean, if it weren't for Modern Agent Social Club, because members get to be in the middle of marketing conversations like this every single day.
That's true. For our members, it's basically Marketing Girl Summer.
Exactly. Like, sun's out, strategy's out.
So if you love the podcast, maybe you've already started trying a few things and you're seeing results, but just imagine how much more momentum you could build inside the club.
Because the podcast is where we talk strategy, but inside Modern Agent Social Club, like, of course, you're going to get great content, as I do say so myself. But more than that, you're going to get a results-driven marketing plan.
Carousels and reel prompts and emails, it's all great. But how do they all work together to make you the real estate go-to girl? That's why we provide you with an entire marketing system, so you don't have to figure out how all these pieces connect.
So if you're tired of waiting a whole week between episodes and you're tired of DIYing your real estate marketing, make this your most fun and productive summer yet.
And join us today at modernagentsocialclub.com for your first official Marketing Girl Summer. Now back to the show.
Yeah. That's what I need to work on is speaking and being like on camera, on stories and reels more, whatever.
Yeah. And just do one a week, like once a week on your stories to start. Like keep it really simple.
Yeah. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, every one of us could do a better job with that. With Chelsea and I always say that whenever we give someone like feedback on like, I'll do this but differently in your reel next time or whatever, we say that about our own stuff. Like there's always something that can be improved or always something that can be done differently. So it's not like it's like you need to do these things. It's like that's just the bottom line. That's the goal we're all striving for. But that being said, I was just thinking this as we're sitting here because I had some friends from my church over last night and they all brought their kids and everyone's playing. And it was so funny because, they come over probably like twice a year, but they came in the house and instantly they started saying things that I was like, these are connection points that I forget to like showcase, right? But they walked in, first of all, it was really nice. They all brought their kids, but like we already had a bunch of neighbor kids over because there's always kids over here. And they were all like, oh, like whose kids are these? Like, what's going on? And I was just like, oh yeah, we always have kids over. But I mean, it's not like I'm like, recording my friends' kids or whatever, or my kids' friends, but like that is a part of my life that, like, if you knew me, that's just how it is. They pointed out like all of the pink in my kitchen. Like I've got like and I didn't even really notice it until someone pointed it out. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I do have a lot of pink in my kitchen. Someone pointed out that I was wearing purple pants and I had purple toes. Like they were like, oh, is that your favorite? Like, so just like those little things, or like how I do things, the food that I fed my kids, like the way I made that, like they were just pointing things out that they were like, oh, I didn't think about doing it this way. Or like, oh, I used to do it that way. I should do that again, or whatever. Those are the things, those are the most mundane things that can create the most magical content. Just like that girl posting her son's breakfast. Like me just saying, like, not me sitting in purple pants with purple toenail polish. Like people are either going to be like, oh my gosh, that's funny, or like, oh my gosh, me too, or whatever, So if you're feeling like, I don't know if I'm authentic, or I don't know what my things even are, or whatever, invite a couple of friends over and just like document the conversation. Like think about like the things that you guys are talking about, and the things that they're asking you, the things that they're impressed with. Like those are the things that people will connect with you over. And they're probably not that exciting, but that's what makes them work,
What else I like about that is a lot of this can stem from your stories. Like when I said, let me look at Krista Horton's account, I didn't even look at her feed. I went right to her stories because I feel like I know that's the place where I'm going to figure out, am I going to see your face? Am I going to, like, what am I going to get from your real life? Like not the feed you curated, but your regular life. And that's another good point. Cause like, I was kind of pulling up our content, and I'm like, there's a lot of really good posts I could see you plugging your personality into. Like, we have one for May, like, not to be dramatic, but a lunch date with your favorite agent could totally change your life. And you could put like where you would go to lunch in town or whatever. And maybe the picture you swap out is one of you, but that makes it local. And then it makes it real estate. And then it makes it, all the different things. But then that's not necessarily like a super behind the scenes kind of a post. So then in that same beat, if your stories have you in them, or it has like what you ate for breakfast, or that you're watching You season 5, that's where it's like, okay, that's like the warm up then, like, okay, her feed is like your store window. Here's what might be inside if I go in. But then like you go into the store and you meet the person and you hear the music playing and you get the drink that they're offering or whatever. Like that's like the brand, right? So like your stories are like the walking into the store, but your feed is like the front window of like what's inside. Like what do they sell here? What do they offer? Do I even want to come in? So like that's kind of a good way to think about the two differences. Like your feed is going to be a little more shiny, curated, even if you were posting, like, even if you're an influencer who shares like day in the life and they're like messy whatever all the time, like it's still curated because they're still editing a video to put on the feed, blah blah blah. Whereas like the stories are like, they can be kind of random. They don't have to be I mean, yes, there's strategy with stories, but I'm talking like day to day. It's just little pieces of behind the scenes of life in real estate mixed together that can help someone really get to know you and want like you to be like, you're my go-to when I need an agent. You're the one,
Yep. I love it. I'm excited. I hope that this is like helpful for you, because I'm excited to see like how this comes out in your content and how like what you do with it, So
another question I was going to ask you is like, tell me like, what is something you do in your morning routine, or like, what does your morning routine look like?
So I try to get up at like 4:45 every morning because I get my kids up by like 6:45 to go to school. It's only 3 days a week, but it gives me like that extra 2 hours of quiet time that I will not get if I don't wake up early. So it's that. And then I try to just like work on stuff on the computer in the office, or, that's pretty much what it is me up early and working.
I would document that. Like
100%.
4:45 wake up call. And then like every day you could just, not that you have to spend, it could take you 2 minutes. Like you're just putting something on your stories of like what you're doing that morning or what you're working on, or like, are you drinking coffee first? Like adding a poll. Are you a morning person? Are you a night owl? Is 4:45 sound crazy? Like always having like, just like conversation through the things you're doing anyways. And that's something you could repeat.
Would you do that daily, or do you think like that's too much to do it every day?
I would just say once in a while, like once a week.
I think, I mean,
Okay.
I would put it in your stories. If I would get up in the morning and like take a little snapshot of that, or like set your camera up by your computer or something and just record yourself like walking in and sitting at your desk or whatever early in the morning. You can use those clips in your stories. But then I think, yeah, once a week using something, and it can be different every time, or it can be similar, but it could be like, you know, reasons I regret waking up at 4:45 before my kids or whatever. And then it can be like nothing. And then you can talk about the advantages of that. Or you could say like, I started doing this one thing as an agent and it totally changed my life, or like made my days better. Like, you can use the same clips over and over again. So like I mean, still be in the moment and still do your process, do your thing. But if you're able to record even 10, 15 seconds of those mornings, like
Yeah.
that's really powerful content, and you can use it in so many different ways. And it just makes you like known for something. It makes people be like, oh yeah, that's the agent that gets up so early. When your clients meet you, they're going to be like, what's today one of your early mornings? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's interesting to people, even if they can't relate to it, even if they don't do it.
Or like, what are you doing at 4:45? Like, I would share it in my stories frequently. But yeah, you could then flip it into a post every so often, like my day in the life as an agent who gets up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, wait,
Yeah.
what do you do at 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
And you can then, you like what you just said, working, like bring pieces into there. Like, today I'm looking at new listings for my buyers. Today I'm setting up a home search. Today I'm mapping out showings for the next week or whatever. Like, you can just bring in different pieces that then now you have that real estate infusion, even though you're just sharing a little piece of your morning, you have the real estate mixed in. And not that you always have to, but it just kind of, that becomes like a thing then. Like, people are like expecting you wake up, just go set your phone on your counter and then walk back in the room
Yeah.
and do a quick recording. You don't even have to be like fully camera ready. It could just be like you walking past it
Oh
and
yeah.
you edit out the
Definitely
other
would
part.
not be camera ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No need to be. I
It could be in
love
a robe. It could be in like pajamas. It could be in
Right.
anything. You know, that's like what makes it, like, that's the example of like authentic. Because like, if you only show up in stories when you're fully ready, you're fully everything, and then no one ever knows you get up at 4:45, you're missing the cool authentic connection part. I mean, I don't get
Yeah.
up at 4:45, but that could be your thing, you know? And that's what's going to make it authentic. Like, it's the thing that someone's going to stick to, that it isn't anything crazy. It's a little crazy. Just kidding. It's like not, but it's not anything like we need this random fact or, you know, unique thing no one else does. Like, other people do get up that early. So like that's going to relate to those people, or it's going to be like, holy cow, to the ones who don't.
Yeah. Okay. I never thought about like actually using that in like content, other than I have done a few like story posts with it, but not actually like, how do you say it? Weaving it into the content. Yeah.
And it will probably take doing it several times before people even think to ask you a question about it. So you might be posting it and be like, no one even cares about this, but they do.
Yeah.
They're just not saying anything yet. So keep going with it for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
then
think of like this reel prompt. It was like, unfortunately, my mood depends on if it's nice enough to wear a cute outfit and sip Diet Coke on the patio while talking to a client about listing their house. So like, you could spin that into, unfortunately, my mood depends on getting up at 4:45 to get whatever, insert the real estate thing you want there, done while drinking a beverage and blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, by drinking my coffee while it's still hot before the kids get up. Like, something like that. Now you just turn that post, which is a reel, into something relatable, something local, something real estate and personal, and it's a reel that lives on your feed. And I would probably make sure you're in it in some capacity, whether it's just walking by the camera or sitting at your desk or whatever.
okay. Cool.
Awesome. What other questions do you
So-
have?
Since I'm like home a lot with my kids, what I was talking to actually my like fitness coach that I have, and her and I talk about business a lot. So we're like just bouncing ideas off of each other. And she was helping me with this one. She said, one of the hardest parts for me is like, my house it's nice, but it's not like super aesthetic. So I've been thinking about doing like a series on like unaesthetic real estate, whether it's me like talking tips or like local things, but showing like the real side. Like, you're not going to walk into a brand new, you know, granite countertop house every time you go show a home. And just trying to pull like inspiration for that. What, like, do you guys have any thoughts on series ideas or anything that could help help this brain work a
So
little bit
much.
better?
this this is one of my like favorite topics because I feel like people get held back from it. It actually reminds me, we've had Tori Sprinkle on the podcast before, and her whole feed and all her stories, everything is very aesthetic and like she's got such a vibe. But I heard her on a podcast before be like, I was so insecure to like show up on social because I just lived in this little log cabin in the woods. Like I don't live in this like white granite. And she was like talking and like almost like down on her house, where the very thing that drew us to her was the thing she was afraid was going to like hold people back from wanting to follow her. And I think that's like real life. Now, I think there's a million different ways you could spin this. There's a girl that I follow and I was just trying to look for her and I can't find her right now. I will send it to you when I find her. But she does like my morning as a normal, corporate girl or whatever. And it's literally like the same thing every time. It's her waking up, letting her dogs out, making breakfast, putting on things. And she'll even say like, I've had this, sweater for 5 years, but it's still my favorite. And I still wear it about every other week, or just like being normal. Right. But like, that is so comforting for people to have that. But on the other hand, you can also be like romanticizing life in a normal, 15-year-old home or whatever. And you can share like, okay, I might not love the color of our trim, or I might not love, this how this layout is or whatever, but here's ways that I'm like making it work for me. And then as you are going into like other people's homes or other listings or whatever, they're going to know like, oh, you're the agent that's not going to like hate on my dated early 2000s home, but you're going to have like a vision for it and you're going to know how to spin it, So yeah, I think there's so much you could do with this. And that would feel like a giant breath of fresh air for most of your followers. Guarantee it.
Yeah, there's so many ways you could spin that, depending on what you like gravitate towards or what feels like, ooh, that sounds fun. I'm even thinking like, dinner still tastes just as good, even though my kitchen is from the early 2000s, or like that type of stuff. Like my kids still had a great Christmas just because our house is from like when you think of like the real stuff, like Instagram is so shiny. It's so, everyone has beautiful kitchens, but they don't. Like that's such the minority in reality. So it's like bringing out the, loving, even like romanticizing life in my 1950s mid-century modern home. Like that could be the angle. I love the pairing of it though with like, how do you then spin it into why a seller or a buyer would want you to be their agent? Because it would be like, okay, well, she'll help me find the house, even if it's not perfectly aesthetically pleasing, even if it's not a white kitchen, or like she'll help me find the one that I have potential with, and she'll give me the ideas, or she'll tell me how to romanticize what's already here, even though it's not perfectly Instagrammable. Like I like that angle a lot because it kind of does both. It shows like the relatability of I saw someone once like, oh, still making dinner in my kitchen with brown cabinets, or like it was something like that, and it was like really old cabinets, but I'm like, it still looked cute because she made it cute, and like that's the energy I liked. It was like, that is still cute. Like add a candle, add a plant, add some color, and like who cares what the cabinet color is, So giving that, it's like a combination of inspiration, relatability, and expertise, because it's like, I'll show you how to do this in your own home. I'll show you how I can help you do it in your home. So I think that would be so good.
Yes, I also think that's really great for like sellers too. Like they're not going to feel insecure to have you come look at their house and feel like I'm kind of embarrassed because you're going to be like, this is fantastic or whatever. I also recently saw this too. It's from the Content Cove, and it says, it's like two different things, and I'll show you in a second. But the top of it says life if they accept you, life if they reject you, or life when it works out, life when it doesn't work out. But it's like two different things, and basically it's the same video. So you could almost be like, how my kids feel coming home after school and having water balloons in the front yard, whatever, or like in a brand new build or in my same house or whatever. And it could feel like just to show people that same vibe. And again, content like that, you could do it every month. Like you could become known as the girl who like normalizes regular houses. That's a great piece of content right there too. Normalize regular house. We've done that before. And let people like give them permission to even if you're giving them permission to love where they live and to stay there longer, you're still going to be their real estate girl when it is time for them to move, or when they do have a friend who's ready to like move or whatever. But yeah, content like that is such a breath of fresh air for people. I think we need more of it. And like everyone's tired of seeing content that's completely unattainable. So I love that.
Especially in our area, like we don't have a whole lot of new builds like others do around the countries. Like we don't have brand new subdivisions going in, every 6 months. So it's just not feasible really in our area to have a whole bunch of like brand new aesthetic content and aesthetic homes when that's not really what we're selling or what is listed in our area. So
Yeah,
I want to be able to like focus on the charm of the older. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I would totally lean into that because that it's not like you're trying to compete with all the people who want to build or want new. You're like, let's use what we have. And here's how we're going to do it. I saved this reel this morning, actually. It says, my white kitchen needs a little warmth and character. Well, this is a white kitchen, so it's a little bit different, but it starts out just super boring. And then they like add some light fixtures and some stools and a mirror. This could be your other like strength that sellers can see through your content is like, here's my, whatever, my normal kitchen, but here's how I'm going to make it a little cuter. And it could be like, here's the plant I got. Here's the candle I got. Here's the cookbooks I stacked up right here. So just like showing those little things, or even I could think it'd be fun. You could use humor. You could go a million ways, but like using something like digging, like picking apart each little thing. Like, oh, I still can make dinner even though I don't have a backsplash, or like little things, like little things like that are just like so funny.
We have new baseboards in our kitchen.
Yes. I'm even thinking like you could tie local into it too. Like you could be like, local takeout tastes just as great, or local takeout from this place tastes just as great on my old dining room table. Oh yeah, there's so many things you could do with it.
Yeah.
I hope that you go through and like write all of these down, because now I'm gonna make sure. Am I following you? I'm gonna follow you right now so I can watch you do this.
Nikki, can
We're
you
gonna keep
tell
Nick
our
humble.
listeners where are you located?
So it's a small town. Well, I'm in a really small town called Potter Valley, California, but the main like city around us is Ukiah, and it's about 2.5 hours north of San Francisco.
Okay.
So
Okay, cool.
we're small.
I remember that
We're
now that
small
you say
town.
that. I know Ukiah. I remember the name.
That's awesome.
And Potter Valley, because I shipped you a shirt. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
I just typed that in.
That's so cool.
Well, if you guys want to come down for the rodeo and on Memorial Day weekend, it's a fun time.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
that
so fun.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's our favorite.
that's another cool local topic you could lean into
Mhm.
too. Because I'm like, you
Yeah.
tell me more, which I'm not local, but still. Documenting it, like the whole documenting over creating, I think is a big piece to that authenticity. Is like the traditional way of talking about your local rodeo would be, I'm going to make a graphic and put horses on it or whatever and be like, rodeos this weekend. But like your way of doing it would be like, point of view, you come with me to the Ukiah rodeo as a city name realtor. I don't know, add realtor in there somehow. And like then you just show like a couple scenes from while you were there. And like people moved to this city because of this one event Memorial Day weekend. And it's like, like that's how you spin the real estate in constantly to content like that. It's like draw a picture of a glass. I'll send you a sticker of our content cocktail. It's just like keep it by your laptop and it constantly reminds you, or put it on your phone, constantly reminds you of like those ingredients, like keep pouring those ingredients in to your content glass. And it's like, you can post about whatever you want and it's going to relate. But like at the same time, think about who do I want to connect with? So even like going back to Krista Horton, like she probably, yes, she's sharing things she loves, but because she shows up so much, she probably knows what people gravitate to, or like what content really does get a lot of engagement for her and what works. So as you start testing things, you'll like notice patterns. And then when you notice a pattern, that's when it's a good time to be like, okay, let's kind of double down here. And maybe I scratch that other type of content. And that's when you can really hone in. So like kind of going back to your very first question of like, what would you do? Well, how would a member optimally use this? Like you can still follow the game plan, but now you just through this conversation, I already know what you're going to plug into it. Like you're going to plug in the normal house thing. You're going to plug in the Memorial Day rodeo as like a local spot. So you're using the prompts and the framework, but now you have like your components to plug in. So that's how it looks so different for each member, is like you get really like honed in on that. And when we talk like, brand menu is a big part of one of the things we teach. And for you, I'm already like learning kids is one. You living in a really small town, normalizing regular houses. Did anything else stick out to you?
Well, I haven't talked about it much on here, but working out is probably one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's your brand menu.
Getting
That's so
getting up at 4:45.
Yeah.
I just listed all. We did all 5.
Yeah, that's so simple. Like, and I hope that makes you feel freedom too, to feel like, okay, now I know exactly how to show up, or I know the signature series I'm going to do, or those kind of things, because you have clarity around what your actual brand is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm so
awesome.
excited to
I
see
know.
what you do.
Do you have any other questions at all, Nikki, before we wrap this up?
One last one that's not real estate related. What's your guys' favorite funny movie?
Ooh.
That's a fun question. Funny movie.
I'm like a forever Legally Blonde fan. It's funny. I don't know that it's like the funniest. I love Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids is that's a really good one. I love Baby Mama. I feel like we just talked about that. We recorded another episode not too long ago. Baby Mama is so funny. Amy Poehler's like my spirit animal. And there's so many quotes in that movie that my sister and I like use in regular life. That and Mean Girls, which is also Tina Fey too. So I don't know. And both of them. Yeah, I
What
think
is
those are so funny.
yours?
Yeah, what's yours?
Mine probably is Mrs. Doubtfire. That's like my all-time favorite movie ever. It's like family heritage back there. So
it's so good. I just saw. Oh, I'm reading a book, and the guy hires a nanny for this daughter he didn't know existed because whatever. Anyways, he was like, the nanny is of course like a hot yoga teacher, and he was like, I know, I was hoping it'd be more like Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't want to be attracted to the nanny. Isn't like the number one rule of like hiring a nanny is you can't be attracted to the nanny. But he's single, so it's fine. But yeah, I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Okay, I have like 8 movies to watch now. This is great.
Yes.
We have we went to they had a play in San Francisco, Mrs. Doubtfire play, and we went like, gosh, it's probably been like 6 months now, and it was so good. They did a really good job.
That's so fun.
That would be so fun to see.
Yeah.
My kids would have loved that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I saw one more question on here. I don't know if you want to ask it quick.
Yeah.
I don't think you did. How often would you post about freebies and lead
Oh,
magnets?
yeah,
Because I feel like this could tie into what we were just talking about. So I don't want to like forget this one. Freebies and lead magnets. So if you had a local guide, that would be the perfect like PS every time you do a local post, whether it's about the rodeo or, this is like, it could be workout related or get ready with me at 4:45 and then I'm going to go off to my workout, whatever. A PS in any post like that, whether it's like text on screen on a reel or it's PS in the caption, grab my local guide to learn my other favorite places in this area would be a great like add-on. So we don't always need like an individual post about a freebie, but more of like use it as a PS, like the powerful PS, You could also, I think in stories, if you post in stories really consistently, having like once a week where you're like, hey, by the way, if you didn't know I had this, just pop a link to it. And you can usually make it related to something. So like even if it's a buyer guide and you're sharing like, oh, another 4:45 wake up call, working on home search for my buyers. By the way, if you're looking to get started on the home buying process, grab this. It's such an easy pop in your stories because number one, people in your stories are warmer people anyways, but they can still be sent to a friend. Like someone could be like, hey, I heard you might be thinking about buying. Here's this, did you know she had this? And as you build that brand up more, like people are going to be like, okay, like this is who you need to go to for that. So if you keep talking about it on repeat, even if you feel a little bit redundant, I don't think when it's in stories, it's salesy because it's more of like I'm working on this. By the way, if you need help with it, here's this thing I have. Because it's really not something to be like apologetic about. It's like helpful to them is how we need to think about it. Like if someone gets your local guide, if someone gets your, showings that sell checklist or whatever, it's helpful to them. So we don't want to feel like guilty. If we were like, just so you know, if you're looking to buy or sell, I'm here. Like that's more of the like not really beneficial to someone. But like the other part is like it's value driven. So I think that I would definitely incorporate it once a week. And I think you'll see a lot of growth with your email list if you do talk about, especially in stories frequently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you hit all the things there. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Nikki, I'm excited for you. Can I ask you one question before we go?
Yes.
You've been a member of Modern Agent for a long time. If someone came up to you today and said, I don't know, I'm debating, like, should I join? Should I not join? What would you tell them?
To do it. It's nice to have like, even because you don't have to use all the content, obviously, but it's nice to have somebody and like you guys and just all the info there. So it just gives you, like you guys said, the tools to really like create your own. And like I started, when you opened it, Chelsea, when it was Pop the Cork in 2018 or something like that, that's when I started sales. And I knew that social media was going to be like a huge thing. So I started it back then. And back then it was, obviously a lot different where it was more just for me, how I was using it was plug and play and just plug and post it. But now it's evolved to be more even though it's a broad thing and you guys provide it for a lot of agents, you also like just are able to bring it down to yourself and create your brand around you. So I think it's a great addition. And if you're going to use social media, you might as well have a little bit of help getting some ideas so you're not thinking about it 24/7, because it's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so
Yeah,
much for
thank
sharing
you.
that. That's so cool.
That
Yeah,
is really cool.
we will put in the show notes where everyone can find you and follow you and all of that, so they can see all this content that you're gonna pump out for them. Nothing like some accountability after a coaching call, right? That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. This was
Thank
so
you.
fun.
Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you.
And I'm
Awesome.
also going to send you some of our fun new stickers in the mail. So
Oh, yay.
look for those.
Okay.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Thank you for doing this. And I loved all your questions. So I hope this is really helpful to you, but also to everyone listening, just who has similar questions. So
Yes.
for sure.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay,
cool.
bye, everyone. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.